My name is Tanisha Johnson. I am the Black Lives Matter Seacoast chapter co-founder. We founded our chapter back in July. Myself and two others founded the chapter really after everything that happened this year. The numerous murders that happened in 2020 really sparked our want to increase our impact. And so we met through an Instagram account that was formerly Black Lives Matter Seacoast. And after meeting, we knew that we needed to do more than just be a online presence. So we do what we do, or at least I do what I do for multiple reasons. And really, we need this community, particularly this state of New Hampshire, the Seacoast area, to really understand the value of Black lives. You think about it, just 60 years ago, we were fighting for our rights to vote, to desegregate schools. And here we are in 2020, and we're still fighting to dismantle those systemic racist policies and the culture that this country was built upon. And at this moment, it's time for us to start holding those accountable for change. I have two children, I have a son and a daughter. And it just bogs my mind that we are still fighting the same fight. And so, looking at that and knowing that, I want this next generation to be valued, to be seen, and to be heard. So, I am fighting for them so that when they get older and then they have children, they're not still fighting the same cycle, and the same fight because their skin color is seen as a weapon. So, I fight for them and I do this for them.
How did you become involved?
Interesting story how I became involved. And I'm actually going to take it back to when I was a child. I grew up in New Jersey in a nice suburban area. My parents put me in private Catholic school all my life. So I've always been one of, you know what I mean? It's always been maybe 10 minority students in my class. I had a graduating class in high school of about 60 kids in an all girl high school. And out of that 60, maybe 10 of us were of color. And so I've always had to assimilate myself. I've always had to think about how to say things, how to be perceived. I've always had to be quiet when I look around and maybe things are said about me, or I couldn't go over to a friend's house because their parents, may not like Black people. And so as I grew up and then became an adult and then continued to be in these spaces where I was one of, and then moved to New Hampshire where I was less than, and sometimes one in a room of 100 folks, it was, it's time for me to stop just internalizing and stop having conversations in closed door spaces among other Black individuals, or feeling some kind of way because I'm looking around going, this isn't right. Something's not right. And it's time for me to use my voice, and I go back to my children and I teach my daughter to stand up for herself. And I teach my son the same thing. And I said, I can't teach them that and me not do the same. And so here I am using my voice and using my power to attempt to make change in this community.
And for people who are interested in activism, especially around Black Lives Matter, how do they get involved?
First, I want to say we as a people need to start standing up for what we believe in. We need to start as individuals calling out these instances of racism, making people aware that what they're saying is wrong, what they're doing is wrong. We need to call out their internal biases and judgments. We need to call out our family, our friends, and our coworkers to say that things aren't right and it's time for a change. We need to use our collective power to bring value back to our Black lives. That's my first spiel. But secondly, to get involved with Black Lives Matter Seacoast, you can definitely email us. We have several committees that we are looking for volunteers to be a part of, especially with our youth, and creating a youth division of our chapter, and allowing for mentors to come in and mentor our Black children in this state. So just email us or follow us on social media. We have several events and things coming up that people can be a part of.
And last question, what message do you want to leave the younger generation?
So it's time that we as a people and our younger generation, we need to acknowledge that the system that our ancestors broke their backs for was made with not us in mind. We as Black people are treated at a disadvantage because of our skin. We're seen as a weapon because of our skin. And we need to work together to begin creating a more equitable space so that our next generation can start off with just one less fight. We need to realize that our voice matters and that we matter. We also need to be the one to tell our story. We need to be able to share our narrative. We need to write our narrative. We can no longer have others write our story for us. We live this life daily, and we know what it feels like to be a Black person, a Black female in this world. We are powerful and we are queens, and we need to continue to show the world our force.
Any